when I was an entrepreneur in the early days of Twitch, and then even post Twitch, I don't think I was very satisfied with life. And so it was crazy because, we sold our company for $970 million, and then I woke up in water that day, Because I think when you're young, you don't have any skills. You really only have the ability to work hard. When we started back in Kiko days, I was like, if I get $1 million out of tech, that'd be crazy, right? Obviously made a lot more than that. And I was still unsatisfied. Well, we don't know when we're gonna have great conversations, so why don't we make this a 24/7 live audio stream? Spent about a year working on this calendar, and then we were like, it's not working. What do we do? Ended up having this idea, let's sell it on eBay to try to get money back for our investors. It just grew and grew and grew, and eventually that was, we called that Project Twitch, and that became the whole company.
Looking back with what you know now, would you still sell Twitch? Well, Justin, welcome to Off the Leash podcast.
Love it. Thanks for
That's
having
the intro,
me.
just like that. Easy.
That's the intro?
Yes.
That's easy. All right, we're here. We're here diving into it.
We made it. First, I want to thank you for this. This is a great opportunity for us. And, we wanted to make the trip because when we're at school and we're talking about who we want to hear a story from and get advice and kind of use the opportunity to educate everybody else, it was like first of mind, top of the list for us. So means a lot that you accepted this invitation from us.
Of course, I got to do it for Yale's. Yeah.
You should talk a little about the trip, though. People don't know where we are. Oh yeah, we flew to California. Yeah. It's my first time in this area. Yeah. So this is pretty sick.
I live remote. Yeah. I'm out here. Yeah.
You're vibing. It's a cool spot though. It's a good vibe. Beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
I think the only good place to start for us is you've worn so many hats throughout your life in a 25-year span.
Yeah, getting old now.
A little bit. 42 now you are?
Yeah, I was class of 2005. That's crazy, right? You guys graduating in 2025.
And I was born in 2002. Wow. So I was 3.
God damn. I don't feel that old, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
The first question I want to ask is like wearing all these hats throughout this past 20 years. First is how does someone, I think, just jump from interest to interest and, invest time into it? And then secondly, why? What made you want to do that, when you have passion projects and being able to switch something else so quickly? How does someone juggle those type of things and make those decisions?
I just followed my interests always. I was always a curious person. I've always been excited about new ideas and new stuff. And so, I've had a 25-year career. I started being an entrepreneur at Yale, actually, as a senior. I started my first company in 2004. And we didn't really know if it was a business. It was a web calendar called Kiko. It was kind of like Google Calendar, but worse in every way. It was like 1 year or 2 years before Google Calendar came out. We started working on this. And, we were just like, oh, hey, we could build something and that'd be cool. What if we started a business? We didn't really have a business model of how to make money, just kind of like, let's get users on the internet. And I started with some Yaleys, and it was just more of an experiment than anything else. And then my whole life, that company didn't really work out that well. We can talk about that, but it got me started on entrepreneurship. And then since then, I lost track of the companies, probably like 15 companies. Some of them successful, like Twitch, some of them fiery craters in the ground. And, started different art projects and music projects, and I'm just always curious about new things. I really like learning. I don't really like doing things that I've done before, because to me, life is all about learning something new, and entrepreneurship or starting new projects is kind of the way I have forced myself to put myself in the position of learning something new.
I feel like, most people, when they find something they're passionate about, they just binge things on YouTube maybe and just like enjoy doing it. It seems like you find something you like, you're going to create it. You're going to create something that goes along with that.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of how it makes it real. I don't think I rarely have hobbies. I guess I've been really blessed to be able to have my hobby be my work, right? Like I really love starting companies, and you can start any kind of company. I started everything from tech companies I started a non-alcoholic wine company.
I saw that.
Because I don't drink anymore. And so for me, it's always just like, what can I create something in the world? And, it's like by having a real goal of like, instead of being like, okay, I want to make these non-alcoholic drinks. I'm just gonna like learn how to make them myself for like my home consumption or something. It's like I always think about, oh, what's a product or way to change the world or like put something out in the world that's more, it's at a larger scale, you know?
Yeah.
And then that kind of forces me to learn how to do it.
Yeah. I think I want to start with Kiko.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it already. Why does a college student want to start a calendar app?
So when we were in college, this is, we were seniors, like this is the beginning of my senior year. And I remember I went to the career center and they were like, I was like, what am I supposed to do after I graduate from school? I had no idea. I was just used to being in school and, achieving good grades or whatever. And so I was like, what do I do? And they were like, they basically were like, do you want to be a consultant, banker, or lawyer? Like, it wasn't like, that's what I remember from it. I might be doing them an injustice, but they were kind of like, okay, here's like some tracks, like if you don't know what to do, basically. And so I took the LSAT. I did pretty poorly for what I expected. I got like 165 or something. It was like, but I thought that was like not very good. And so I was like applying to jobs, but I didn't really know what to do. And at the same time, one of my friends, this guy, he's like, it was my Yale roommate actually in the God Quad. And he was like, oh, actually, no, he wasn't in it. See, this is how old I'm getting. He had actually left by then. So anyways, my Yale roommate at one point, my freshman year roommate was like, we should start a company because we have all this, what he called access to intellectual capital, which is like, there's all these, smart Yaleys around and we have low opportunity costs, right? We're like, I was just playing World of Warcraft all day. And so he was like, we should start a company. And so we started with the idea of like, let's start a company. And then we were like, what company could we start? And internet, still early days, it felt like there was a lot of opportunity there. We just see Gmail come out, right? People were using Gmail, and that was like a big innovation, And so we decided, what if you could make a calendar version of this, which is a pretty obvious idea in retrospect, make a really high functioning calendar on the web. And so that's where we just started hacking that up.
Yeah. And from there, where'd it go?
Well, long story short, so we built the prototype over the course of our senior year. And then we recruited this other friend of mine, Emmett Shear, who was like a childhood friend of mine, because he was like the only one who actually knew how to program. So it was like him. Then I was kind of like working on it too, learning, self-teaching, teaching myself how to program. And then Matt, our other co-founder, was like not really doing anything. Actually, I mean, not his fault. So then,
on board.
Then we decided to. We were like, okay, now we got jobs because we were like, okay, what are we gonna? We need to like live after college, right? So we got some jobs and had them lined up. Emmett was gonna go work at Microsoft, and I was gonna go to this like energy derivatives trading company. I didn't know what like any of those words meant, but like I got this job.
It was something.
And so we ended up. Like, I remember like the second semester of our senior year, one of our friends forwarded this email from this new program called Y Combinator. And they were like, we're funding student companies. We want to invest in like companies that, young tech students have. And so we were like, oh, we have a company. So we applied to this thing. We went up to Boston to interview with Paul Graham and Jessica Livingston and the other partners of Y Combinator. And they accepted us into this program, and they gave us $12,000, which at the time seemed like a tremendous amount of money for our company, which is basically the two of us like building this prototype. And so that's how we got started. We went up to Boston and moved to Boston after we graduated, and for 3 months we kind of worked on this company over the summer, trying to launch it and make a product.
You spoke on your first interaction in another interview with Y Combinator, and you had to argue for Kiko pretty intensively. You want to speak more about that?
Yeah, it was I was very shy at the time, actually. So Emmett did most of the talking. I mean, I felt like technically outgunned. I'm like, didn't really know that much about programming. I was self-taught. And so, they were saying, well, and this is another technology thing that only really you would know if you were fucking old, but like, they were like all the applications on the internet at the time were server side, like heavily server side. So every time you'd like want to do something like make a calendar appointment, it would, you'd go fetch another web page, and that was like a really slow user experience. So we were arguing that, we're going to build this kind of application that was like heavily client side, where, the client would do a lot of the computations, and then they would just send data back to the server behind the scenes. And so they were skeptical of this, because they were even older than I am, and they were like used to like kind of this old way of building applications. So we spent like 40 minutes arguing about that this kind of architecture was going to be the future, and then we ended up convincing them, actually, surprisingly maybe. Yeah. And so we got the check, secured the bag, and then we were off to the races working on this company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before I go to the next point, you've mentioned at the beginning that over 15 companies now, and
I don't know if that's an exact count. It's a lot.
Something,
though.
Yeah, a lot. And you just mentioned how you're self-taught. What role do you see yourself playing in most of the companies that you're starting? Are you just a leader? Are you a strategist? Or are you somebody who's like deep into the roots of everything?
Well, it's changed over time, because I think when you're young, you don't have any skills. You really only have the ability to work hard. And so when I was young, I was like the founding engineer, right? Like with Emmett, my co-founder, he was like, probably the lead engineer, founding engineer, and I'm like the junior founding engineer, and we're working together. And to be honest, there wasn't much strategy, or anything. And so in the beginning, you're like, we were programming, and that was what I was contributing mostly in these early days. Later on, when we would start to get some traction, I was doing like marketing or sales or managing the first initial employees that we had, getting everybody in sync and coordinated, and raising capital for the businesses. So it kind of expanded out from there. And then now, as somebody with decades of experience starting companies and a lot more resources and network, when I start companies, I'm usually partnering with somebody who's younger, who's like going to be the CEO of the company, and I'm providing maybe the product idea and the strategy and like the initial sales. I'm leaning into my own strengths now.
Yeah. Well, you told the story about selling Kiko on eBay probably many times.
Yeah.
Would love to hear the story again, but also kind of, the aftermath of it, learning from that moment, because you've obviously went on for the past 20 years to start many more companies. So how kind of you learned from that experience and catapulted your career, it seems.
Yeah, it was like a really lucky, fortuitous way of the events unfolded, right? Because like we had this calendar company, we launched it. Google Calendar came out shortly after. Everybody wanted calendar with email, so everyone started using Google. And this is like very nascent, right? This is really for like tech early adopters at the time. We ended up almost selling the company to Yahoo because Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, had sold his company to Yahoo. So he had set up this meeting for us to meet all these Yahoo executives, and they actually wanted to work on calendar. And ours was actually better than what they had, which was kind of that old architecture. And so, they ended up, one of the corp dev people was in touch with us and was like, "Oh, do you want to come do this at Yahoo?" We were like, "Sure." We wanted to get paid. Like, it would be what I wanted was, I remember in my mind, I was like, I want $2 million, $1 million for him, $1 million for me, which is crazy, right? That's a lot for a college student or whatever, or like someone 1 year out of college. And then, but I was a horrible negotiator at the time, so I was like, they were like, "What do you want?" And I'm on the phone, I'm like, $2 million, and without missing a beat, this guy on the other side of the phone was like, "How about 1 million?" And I was like, "Done." And so then he was like, "Okay, I'm going to write up the paperwork. I'm going to write a term sheet, and I'm going to send it to you, and I'll get you tomorrow," right? Then I just never heard from him. Like, he just ghosted me, basically. A couple of weeks later, I emailed him. I was like, "Yo, is this happening?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just working on it." And then I never heard from him again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it turns out what happened in retrospect is like I connected with him like years later, and what happened was he had went to his boss at this communications, is what they called the group that had calendar and email and messenger and stuff, and all these products that nobody uses anymore because Yahoo. Mm-hmm. And his boss had said, like, had wanted to hire someone else, like a friend of his. They had already hired someone to run the calendar. Mm-hmm. So then they were like, "What are we going to do with these young guys?" And then so he kind of backed out of it. Mm-hmm. And he was embarrassed to tell me up front, so he just ghosted me. Wow, it was some Gen Z shit, but this guy's like, 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
So anyways, he like, so that was worked out for the best though, because what happened was then we were discouraged. We had raised this money from YC and a couple angels after, spent about a year working on this calendar. And then we were like, it's not working. What do we do? Ended up having this idea, let's sell it on eBay to try to get money back for our investors. Yeah. Because I felt guilty, we'd spent their money and didn't have much to show for it. Ended up listing on an eBay. It was so random that it got a lot of attention, right? Like it was kind of novel at the time to sell your company on eBay. And then people started bidding. And eventually, like I remember I was in my college friend's apartment in New York. This was like their first apartment in New York. So I don't know if you visited any of your friends who are like recently graduated, but
yeah, I know
they're not, it's not that nice. It was like 4 dudes living in this not very nice apartment, and I'm sleeping on the air. I'm visiting them, so I'm sleeping on an air mattress in their living room. It's like August in New York, so it's probably 90 degrees outside. I'm just in my underwear, sweating in their living room, and I'm on the computer pressing refresh, F5, looking at this eBay auction, and it just went up the whole morning. It went like, it was like 50,000 is what our reserve bid was, the minimum bid, and then it went up to like 85, then to like 110, 113, 150, and then at the end of it, it was like $258,100, $258,100.
eBay.
Yeah, and so I was like, wow, we're great entrepreneurs, we're amazing, we're killing the game, and so then I was gonna quit entrepreneurship and do something else, but I was like, okay, that actually wasn't that bad. Really, it was like I got paid. Between Emmett and I and our investors, it's like when we returned, gave money back to our investors, it was like the two of us got paid a year's salary, but just all up front at the end of a year of working on it, which was good because like we spent no money the whole year. I was like eating a $5 burrito every meal, like once a day. That was like my whole, we were paying ourselves like $800 a month, Mm-hmm. So that was a crazy time.
It's unreal.
When you guys started Kiko, I know you said that a little bit later, GCal came out. Did you feel like they kind of leached off your idea a little bit?
Well, I think the idea to make a calendar was pretty obvious, but they did ask us to come in and talk to them, and then they just took tons of notes on our shit, and then they just, I don't know if they'd the ideas were pretty obvious, but they definitely asked us to come as if they might buy it,
and then they took notes.
They took notes, and then we never heard from them.
That's crazy. That's
yeah. It's like there's a scene in Silicon Valley, the TV show, where they're pumping them for information, like the big companies. It was like that.
Interesting. Interesting. You told some stories about when you sell some businesses, and it seems you're always in an interesting spot when these things happen. You were in you mentioned how you were in some desert in an inch of water.
Oh yeah. So when we sold 8 years later, so we started after this, we started the Justin TV, which was just before social media. It was almost me trying to create a live stream. Now on Twitch, there's what do they call it? IRL streams, and people are walking around. So we created the original one of that, right? Original IRL stream. There was no streaming infrastructure, so we made a website that would power my IRL stream. This was an idea that came out of our final days of Kiko. So I'm walking around with a camera in my head. We launch it. This is 2007 now. I talk about this a lot on the internet, but you can read about it or watch videos about it. But then we built this up, ended up pivoting to Twitch. Twitch becomes a thing. This is over 8 years, raised $40 million. Twitch becomes a real website. There's 50 million monthly users on our website. We ended up selling it to Amazon, or getting into contract to sell it to Amazon after failing to sell it to Google and Yahoo. And Amazon's going to buy it for $970 million. I have a YouTube video about this, or walk through it, so people can listen to that. And then the last moment, I'm going to Burning Man, which is my favorite thing. I've been in San Francisco, going to Burning Man a couple of years, love it. It's really creative. It's very creative space. I encourage everybody to go once. Mm-hmm. And we, at that year at Burning Man, I was living in I built this foam yurt. It's a little mini house, probably the size of this table, that's made of construction foam, insulation foam, and it was taped together with tape on the seams of this thing. It's a little house. You can't even stand up. It's probably just under height where I could stand up straight. And so then I I'm sharing it with my brother, who I took that year, and we like go to sleep. Like the deal is supposed to close on Monday, right? And that means all of the paperwork has been evaluated by the lawyers. I've signed the docs and they have my signature in escrow, so they're gonna like release all the signatures and close the deal on Monday. And I'm like, I'm gonna be at Burning Man. There's no internet at Burning Man at the time. Now there's like Starlink everywhere, but there's no internet at the time. So I'm there, and overnight, that Sunday night, it rains. And I remember waking up at like 3 a.m., kind of like groggy. I'm like, Damien, I was asking my brother, oh, is it raining? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And then we both just went back to sleep. And so I wake up, and this air mattress I've been sleeping on had deflated, and I'm literally sleeping in water.
Oh my God.
It was like the whole yurt leaked. Because I mean, I made it with it's insulation foam and packing tape. Like it was not, it doesn't rain out there very often. Yeah. So, we dry our stuff off, and then I like went out and I'm like trying to find a friend with a phone with any bars of service where I can even send a text message. And I texting people in the outside world like, hey, is there any news that happened? Anything happened today? Exactly. And so then I finally I spent my whole like 5 hours trying to find someone on the phone, like walking around. Finally got a message that's like, oh yeah, congratulations. And so it was crazy because, we sold our company for $970 million, and then I woke up in water that day, Yeah. But it was great. That was a great day. It was a beautiful day. Yeah.
Let's rewind a little bit. So you started Justin TV, and that was the first official like streaming platform. People were like very new to the streaming world. I don't even think it was a thing back then, honestly.
Yeah.
What was the idea behind Justin TV, or like what motivated you to start that?
Well, we had this failing company, Kiko, which we sold on eBay, right? Yeah. And while we were trying to figure out what to do with it, Emmett and I were, my co-founder Emmett, right, who's another Yale. He was in Davenport my year, and we're like sitting around, like, what could we do with this? So we're brainstorming different like business ideas and pivots and stuff. And I was like, like a typical Yale, we're so like into ourselves that we were like, man, we're so smart. These conversations are so interesting. They weren't, but we were like, we should have a podcast basically. But this is before podcasting was a thing.
Yeah.
We were also like, we're roommates, right? So we're like working together, waking up at like 11 a.m. or noon, working together, then eating together. If we'd have the same friends, like the founders of Reddit, or we're in YC at the time, so we'd go over to their house. We were just together 24/7. So I was like, well, we don't know when we're going to have great conversations. So why don't we make this a 24/7 live audio stream? So it captures everything. Yeah. And then that turned into a video stream. So that was like turned into this idea for Justin TV. And I mean, that sounds like kind of dumb, but I think there was a core insight there, which was, the insight was, I had this idea of like, you could make someone famous if you just advertise them enough. Like if you put them in time, this was like 2006, right? So like there's no Twitter, there's no Instagram. But I was like, if you just put someone's face on a billboard in Times Square for whatever that cost, you did that enough, like they would become famous and people would be interested in
what they had to say. And what they did.
And I think that was like very prescient in retrospect, because social media happened, and there's all these people, right, who became famous for being famous, right? Yeah. And now there's like, everybody wants that,
Yeah.
And so I think that was my core insight, was like, people are fundamentally interested in people, and if you get an window into their lives on the internet, that could be like something that was really powerful. And so I do think that played out. Yeah. But Justin TV specifically, we ended up making our own. We built all this, we're engineers, so there was no way to do this. So we built the website to do this, to power my stream. We launched a stream in 2007 of me, and then people like came to it and they were like, this content sucks. And so then that we were like, okay, let's make it a platform for anyone to stream. And so we kind of pivoted to that.
How many viewers were you putting it on there?
I mean, there was like thousands of viewers coming to, or maybe like 30,000 people came and saw me in the first month, because it was viral, because people were like, why is this guy doing this? Yeah. And all these people were like, this is crazy. Why would anyone voluntarily do this?
Yeah.
But that was like an different generation. Right now, today, people are much more, they're social media natives, or you grew up with social media. Yeah.
So was it a website or an app?
It was a website. There weren't even apps.
What do you ask?
It was just before the iPhone.
Off the Leash podcast is brought to you by Skinletics. Now listen, if you've never used light therapy before, you should have started yesterday. But the good thing is there's still lots of time. It is the best thing for you recovery-wise. If you're an athlete and you like working out, it really helps reduce inflammation. And if you're somebody who just cares about their health and well-being, they have a face mask that's really good for anti-aging and anti-acne properties. I'm gonna put the link in the description. On top of all of that, they make amazing apparel as I'm sporting right now. Listen, if you watch our podcast, if you're a part of the OTL community, you gotta tap into Skinletics. Go ahead, check it out. Hope you enjoy. Let's get back to the episode.
So you were streaming on the computer?
Yeah, I was streaming. No, we built a device that was like basically a mobile computer hooked up to a camera that was streaming it over the cell networks. But like none of this existed before. Now you can just do it on your phone. You know,
that's crazy. Nowadays they have there's backpack streaming devices where there are backpacks made to stream, and you guys basically built that.
Yeah, we built the first
streaming.
version of that.
Crazy.
Yeah, basically.
And so then when you started doing that, and when did the name switch from Justin.tv to?
Well, so we started off obviously as Justin TV because it was about us or my show, and then it became so we built this up and it became a pretty big website, but it was all like what people wanted to watch was other people was pirating other people's content, and streaming TV shows and stuff. So that was not really, all the rights holders were coming to the site and taking our content down or whatever. That wasn't really the scalable, sustainable business. And so we ended up going back to the drawing board 5 years in. We're like, what can we do that's people want? And there was this nascent category of people watching video games, and StarCraft 2 had just come out. And my friend, my partner Emmett was like, this is the only content that I'm interested in. All the other content on our site sucks, but StarCraft, I want to watch StarCraft videos. So we ended up kind of putting a team on that internally, and we started working on that. And eventually that became more and more of the whole site until, it just grew and grew and grew. And eventually that was, we called that Project Twitch, and that became the whole company.
Because nowadays I feel like the algorithm, when you're creating a platform, is very important, right? So for TikTok, you have to abuse the algorithm in order to go viral. Or Instagram, you have to abuse the algorithm to go viral. Did you guys know the algorithm for your own platform, or did you create the algorithm?
Well, it was very simple. The algorithms back in the day were way more simple. TikTok actually revolutionized this in 2017, 18. Because before it was more just your friends and or the people you follow, and it was more what got the most likes or linear based on time, right? The Twitter feed was just whoever posted most recently, that appeared at everyone's top. Yeah, and then for us, it was whoever had the most viewers at any given moment. So people would abuse that by having fake viewers and stuff like that. But they
boost them.
Yeah. But we, what TikTok broke open was focusing on, it was just we're going to show you whatever we think is best based on our machine learning algorithm. And then Facebook copied that pretty quickly. And so, it's a way different now, but it wasn't that advanced when we started.
That's pretty straightforward back then.
Yeah, the algorithms, because people were just inventing all this stuff. It was all new, right? So the algorithms were really basic. Now it's super complex.
And what did you use to promote Justin TV? Or because I know there wasn't a phone, it wasn't Instagram wasn't really popping back then.
Yeah, well, with Justin TV, for our stream, it was we were doing actual press with on blogs, and then it was on Today Show or MTV, and that would drive people. But once anyone could stream, the users were promoting it, right? So they would promote themselves to their friends or whatever, and that was kind of how people would come. And then when it was Twitch, it's similar. All these streamers were promoting themselves on their Twitter or their social media, whatever.
And was it free to get on Justin TV?
Yeah, it was free.
So then how did you guys make money off of it?
Well, for years we made no money. It was just if we build enough of an audience, we'll make money eventually. I mean, YouTube had already done this and sold themselves for $1.6 billion.
Ooh.
So we were okay, we could make money later, which was right. Video ads were pretty nascent at the time, and over the course of us working on Justin TV and then Twitch, the online video advertising became a real market.
Popular.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because before, when I was, in my 20s or whatever, it was all TV, right? That was the premium ads or whatever. Now everyone's using the internet, right? So now it's all internet advertising. Right?
Yeah, because I saw now a lot of big streamers now they run ads during the stream, and that's how they get most of their subs or most of their followers to their page, and they just make a ton of money off of ads. There's really YouTube does the same thing, kind of like you talked about.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's like a full circle moment.
It is. Is it interesting for you to watch Twitch today, kind of how it's come full circle? I feel like now it's a lot of people streaming. I feel like, first I grew up, when we grew up, it was like Ninja and Fortnite. It's kind of where I grew up in that age. Like that's what I was watching. And now it's kind of people like iShowSpeed or Kai. And, they're just pressing record and people just watching them bring on guests. And it kind of seems like in a way it's the origination of your Justin TV. It's kind of like a full circle moment. Do you kind of see that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like we went, and focused on gaming and that really drove a specific community and a lot of like love and like a specific culture, this Twitch culture on this community. And then as it grew, then it broadened out to be more, other things. And back to like, IRL or, I like music streams, like all these people DJing.
Music streams, they're just DJing.
Yeah, DJing or playing music.
I saw somewhere it said that while you were doing your webcam stream one time, you got swatted.
Yeah, so that happened in the very beginning, like 4 days in, we're doing our stream, and then like people, because my show wasn't very entertaining, got on like posted on Dig, I think, and then there was all these, or like 4chan, and there was all this like toxicity.
Oh, so people were hating.
So people were like, oh, let's make this interesting by like swatting him or ordering pizzas to his place, and like all this stuff that happens now, all this abuse. But
it's
like
crazy.
that was,
it's crazy because this stuff actually this still happens to big streamers like to this day, which is wild to think about.
I mean, people when they're behind the mask of the internet can be
taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear more about the sale of Twitch.
Yeah,
more of a way of like, why do founders, like for example, you come up with an innovative idea that's changes the way people consume and create content.
Yeah.
Why did you want to sell it?
It was $970 million. It was a lot. Yeah, I mean, we probably should have not sold it because it could have been worth more. It is worth more, if we had like kept going. But we were at this inflection point where it's really hard to raise money. Like the investors didn't really get it, because it's like, I mean, investors are like old people, right? And they don't like connect for the most part with like what young people are doing.
All right.
But obviously, what young people are doing is eventually, if it's like nascent but it's growing, that eventually will become culture, right? And so a lot of investors were just like, I don't get it, I don't believe this is a thing, like what are people, why are they doing this, and so it was hard for us to raise money compared to some other websites that were a little bit more obvious to investors. But yeah, so we ended up, that was a like good deal at the time, we felt like it was a good deal, and so we took it.
Is that typical when it comes to selling businesses from your experience that, Twitch, like you mentioned, you kind of see that it would have been worth more in that moment when you sold it? Were you like, it's going to be worth more in 20 years?
I don't think we necessarily thought it was going to be worth that much more.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we were like, this is pretty big. Like how big? I mean, when we started Twitch, when we pivoted to Twitch, like we were like, hey, if we could be the biggest video website in 2 years, that would be crazy. That was like 10 million monthly users, and we were at 50 within like I think 4 years. And so that was like way exceeds expectations, right? So we're like, how big could this be? I don't know, right? Like it's pretty big compared to like what we thought. And so I think Twitch surprised everyone, ourselves included. It wasn't like we were like, oh, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. We thought we were just trying to have any company, Yeah.
And then Mark Zuckerberg, I think, also punched in 50 million for you guys. Was that during Justin TV or was that during Twitch?
No. They made an offer when we were trying to sell. I mean, never was in writing, but they like, Meta. We were trying to sell it to. I think it was during the time we were talking to Yahoo and Amazon. So they were like, oh, maybe we'll invest. You stay independent or whatever. Yeah. But we ended up not going that path.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you didn't take it.
No.
That's good.
There has to be a strategy, and you probably know that well. It's like to selling a business of one timing.
Yeah. Well, so every asset class, every type of business, it goes through waves. It's cyclical, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you look at just taking a step back, one of my partners, my original co-founder of Kiko, was my roommate, right? He became an investor, went to work at Goldman. He was working at a hedge fund, Soros, as a portfolio manager. Now he runs a family office for like a bunch of us Yale friends, right? And his own hedge fund. And he always said like, in order to like really be a great investor, you have to be multi-strategy, right? Multi-strat. because like investing in one asset class, there's going to be periods of time when that's like, it's not it, right? Yeah. Like it's really good to have invested in tech over the last 10 years. And probably the 10 years prior actually, but there were certain periods of time when it's like not that good, you know, that, and the same, you know, everything's cyclical, whether it's commodities or emerging market equities or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Or debt. And so, you know, like that's going to apply to companies that you build too, right? Like there's certain times when, you know, like social media, right? Like social media companies, there was a wave of growth between like 2005 and 2006, I guess, whenever Facebook started, and like probably 17, 18 when TikTok was there. But like but after that, there's been nothing, right? Mm-hmm. If you go and invest in a bunch of, because there's like, it's tapped out, right? The market, everybody has all the social media they want. They use it, like it's really competitive. Mm-hmm. And the big companies have a lot of leverage to like win the market, right? So now is not a great time to invest in social media companies because, you know, there's like the market's saturated, mm-hmm. right? The growth has already happened.
Yeah.
And so like the best time to like build and sell a social media company was like before, right? And so there is like timing. And if you just look at like how, you know, the multiples that companies get, like they change over time, you know, and like for SaaS companies, multiples were super high up through like 2022, right? And then they all compressed, and now they're being valued in like a much different way, right? So like if you had a SaaS company, a great time to sell it was like in 2021, you know? Yeah. And so like, you know, you can keep that in mind. Like it's hard to predict the future, right? Like not people aren't necessarily like good at it, but like I think people, you know, the smart founder who's trying to like maximize how much they make is mm-hmm. like really thinking about, you know, when is my growth tailwinds gonna peter off, and when is a macro environment gonna change on how this business is gonna be valued. Mm-hmm. That being said, like I think there's tons of survivorship bias and it's hard to time it. It's always better to just build a company I think that you like and want to run and are excited about. You know, mm-hmm. The people who I think are truly great are the ones who like they build a company that they just want to work at forever, you know, mm-hmm. and then they ride different cycles. Sometimes there's like my friend Brian Armstrong, right? Coinbase, founder of Coinbase, you know, they were doing really good in 2021, 2022, and then they're like crypto market crashed and they like lost a lot of revenue, mm-hmm. and they lost like, I think like 85% of their all-time high as public companies. Geez. But then now it's like back pumping again because he rebuilt this business, and he wasn't like, oh, I need to like sell or exit this company when it's like not doing well. You know, he wasn't reactive. He was just like focused on building his company and like kind of ignoring everything else.
Yeah. So you just, two types of founders, the people who build, sell, people who stick with. Why do you, I think, resonate more with the other side?
Well, I'm probably someone who's like more, I like new ideas, you know, like we were saying. So like for me, I'm always like interested in new things. I don't think I'm like the best operator of a business myself. I'm probably like a better coach and like generator of new ideas. So I'm probably somebody who's better at, I don't necessarily think you can't control the timing of selling a company, right? People are like, there's a saying, an investor and banker told me once, was like, companies are bought, not sold, right? Like if you have a company, you could be generating money, but who's going to buy it? Unless, you know, there's a company that really wants that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't really control whether there's a company that really wants that thing, right? So you just build a great business, and then eventually maybe someone will come along and be like, oh, that's the perfect business for me to slot into my business, mm-hmm. or I really need that product line to complement my product line or whatever, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like I'm not saying I'm trying to build this company and flip it. I don't think that usually works very well. But what I am trying to do is build a company, launch it, get that traction, get it growing, have someone else be the manager of it, you know, because I think I'm probably not the best day-to-day manager of any company.
Mm-hmm. Earlier on when you were starting out with like Kiko and Justin TV, I think for anybody who's trying to start a business, one, you have to like ignore the outsiders, because a lot of people are just going to be like, what are you doing? You know, you talk
when I launched Justin TV, a lot of people were like, this is dumb. Yeah. My dad was like, what? Like, you're gonna put a camera on your head? Like I remember telling him I was in this steakhouse in DC, like he was visiting, and I was telling him and my friend Michael Seibel, who eventually joined me as co-founder, but I was telling him I have this idea for Justin TV, and they were like, they're looking at each other like, this kid is stupid. Like, this is crazy. What is this idea? Yeah.
And now, now it's funny looking back. Like, what made you so confident that, like, I'm going to stick with my idea? Or was it a belief in yourself, or was it more so you love what you were doing?
Well, I don't think it was the latter, because I don't really think that I had identified what I loved doing yet. And I often say, I advise people generally that they should figure out what they love to do. And I don't mean like, the high level of like someone might say, oh, I love working in media, right? But that's like very vague. Yeah. I'm like, you should figure out what exact things you love. Like, I love interviewing people. I love programming. I love sales. Whatever it is, like the actions that you do every day, try to fill those with the things that you love to do. Because then if your work's not going to feel like work, But for me, I was more like, I think what's helped me throughout my career is I just don't see barriers to myself. I think a lot of people have limiting beliefs where they're like, oh, I can't do something for some reason. Yeah. I have never thought I can't do something. Like, I might not be able to do it myself, right? Like, I probably couldn't, I don't know. I was pretty bad at sports. There was a lot of sports things I couldn't do, right? Like, but I've never thought like I can't start a business or build a team that can accomplish something, or like figure out how to produce music or whatever. I've like always thought to myself, if I'm interested in something, I can probably figure it out. Yeah. Like, maybe with the right team, with the right people around me, And so I think that's helped me a lot, is like, I never had like limiting beliefs. And I was always like, I don't really second guess myself. When I'm into something, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm into it. And it probably can be a thing. And so, yeah, I've come to realize, I thought that was like more normal, but I've come to realize that that's probably something that's like very abnormal.
Yeah, no, it is. And how did you get to that point where you feel like for people who are trying to get to that point where they just, they feel like they can accomplish anything, what do you think made you?
Well, I think environmental factors probably play a lot of it, into it. Like, I think my mom is really like that. She's somebody who was an entrepreneur her whole life, or not her whole, like most of her adult life. Running a small business, not like a tech company or anything, but just seeing like how my mom, like she was like, she moved from Malaysia as, she was like pretty poor. Like my grandparents were like, they had 10 kids in like a roadside shack. I visited this place that they grew up in. It was like they were living like literally in the middle bumfuck nowhere, right? Like, and 10 kids in like a tin house. And then they like got to America. Ended up, my mom put herself through a community college at the age of 17 in Seattle, and then, but working as in restaurants. Then like went to transferred to like University of Washington, right, the main university. Then like became a physics major, and then got a computer science master's, and then went and worked in computer science as a programmer in like the 80s. And that's like pretty, from like growing up in like a roadside shack, that's like pretty crazy. But then she ended up deciding to become a real estate agent and mortgage broker and start her own business because she wanted a flexible schedule for, to help raise the kids. And, so she started a business, and then, that was doing fine, doing good. She like provided a really nice lifestyle for us. And then at the age of like, when she's in her late 50s, she became a therapist. She's always been interested in people. So she became an MFT, marriage and family therapist. And so my mom is always someone who's just like been like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, And my granddad was like that too, and so I think there's some like probably some genetic and like also environmental, like seeing her example, that really fueled it. So I don't know if I have good advice for like how to create that for yourself.
But where you got it from.
Yeah. But like, also like, I think don't overthink it. A lot of people will have the impetus or desire to do something, and then they'll overthink like, oh, what about if this happens, or this won't work, or I can't do this, or whatever. And like, your rational mind is what convinces you to like not trust your gut or like go with your instinct. And so like, I always say like with entrepreneurship, the first step is the hardest, right? Like just to incorporate a company, or like just start recruiting your first employee, or building your product, or whatever. It's hard to like get in the mindset of like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to do this, right? But you just got to go and start doing it. Yeah. And then see what happens, you know? Like, yeah, you're going to get better, you're going to figure it out along the way.
Do you have any fears? Is there anything you fear?
I don't really have active fears now. Well, I actually fear, so I keep my razor and my tongue scraper next to each other. And I've always feared accidentally using my razor on my tongue as a tongue scraping. That's like probably my biggest active fear.
Why do you keep them next to each other?
I mean, that's stupid, right? Like, yeah. Yeah. I shouldn't. I mean, they're in the bathroom, right? So it's like, yeah, that's my biggest fear, actually.
Situational, yeah.
I mean, I guess it would really be bad to like end up, if I got in an accident and like paralyze myself or something. But I don't have many fears. I don't fear my death anymore. I reconcile my death. I don't fear, failing. Like I failed a lot, I'm gonna fail in the future. It's like I've survived. I'm a strong person. It's not gonna end the world for me. Yeah.
How'd you get there?
I think life experience helps, right? So like definitely failing, like I used to have be very afraid to fail, and definitely failing and being like, oh, I did survive. Like it's not the end of the world. Like I lost money for people, but they are okay. I laid off my employees, they found better jobs. That's one thing. I think, even fearing like physical injury. Like I had an accident where I broke both my elbows in a bicycle accident 5-6 years ago. And I'm fine, like I survived, and so, knowing that like these tragedies can happen or terrible things, but you're like going to be okay from the experience. Like it's easy to say that, but it's like once you've experienced it, it's different. And I think just like having a healthy relationship with your work and life of like, I used to be like, I have an unhealthy relationship with work where I was like, oh, I need to be successful because I need the outside world to provide me something for me to be okay, right? Like the outside world has to help me be successful. Otherwise, I'm not going to be okay. And that came from a place of like in my childhood, I didn't feel like I got the approval I needed from the outside world, from my parents and from my peers. And so I was like really hungry to get it as a young adult. And what I realized was like, over the course of my life and lots of different experiences, I realized like, no, I'm actually okay just being myself as myself, like I don't need anything from the outside world to tell me like I'm valid, I'm good enough. I'm like, I know I'm valid and I'm good by myself.
Yeah.
And so building that muscle of having that self-belief and self-confidence has helped me know that like, it's all good. Whatever happens is fine.
How about when there's conflicting, I guess, things in life? So let's use our example. I like making good YouTube videos because it's fun, which is why I'm excited to wake up every morning. But I'm also broke.
Yeah.
And I need to have money when I graduate college, just to live life. So what do you do?
Yeah, so I think you can still have motivation and have a healthy sense of attachment to your project, company, videos, whatever, right? So you need, in aggregate, your video. Like the problem with YouTube is like most creators that are like, every video you're like, oh shit, is this gonna work or not? And then if it doesn't do as good as your best video, you're like, fuck, what the fuck, this sucks. Yeah. But you have to think about it like no matter who you are, whether you're Mr. Beast or the videos are all, some are good, some are not good, or some resonate, some don't resonate, some are more viral, some are less. It's like anything, like music. I'm releasing music. It's like the same thing. It's like some are gonna be hits, some are not, right? So you have to just think this is shots on goal, right? Like I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna make stuff that I like, that I think is good, that people will connect with, and I'm gonna release it in the world. And maybe some of them will connect, maybe some of them won't. In aggregate, they need to like connect enough that I then like pay my bills, right? But at the meta level, you should know like you went to Yale. You're gonna be fine. Like you could go get a job if you need to, right? Maybe videos don't work, and in aggregate, but you're gonna be fine. And everything happens for a reason. One of my friends always says the universe does not miss. I think everything happens for a reason, and there's a lesson embedded in everything for your benefit. And I've had some of the toughest things in my life, whether it's shutting down a company. I had one company called Atrium, legal tech company, raised $75 million, spent most of it, was not working very well, laid off 180 people. That was a bummer, right? Or I broke, a month before that I did all that, or a couple months before I broke both my elbows in this bicycle accident. I used to work, bench press and lift a lot, and then I can't. I have a replacement radial head in my left elbow. I can't lift anymore. And so you would think like those are strictly bad things to experience, right? But at the end of the day, I like got a lot from those experiences. from breaking my arms, I realized like, oh, life is short and you should be thankful when you're healthy, and even be, it was like almost like my left elbow aged like 20 or 30 years in like one day, right? And so that made me a lot more grateful for like the health that I did have and that I still have across like different parts of my body. And from this like experience of like, shutting down this company, I learned all these things I told you about, like how my own self-worth was like required, like I was being validated by the outside world and needed that. And then it like put me on the path to like learn that I am enough by myself, and have a much healthier relationship to work. So to me, like, you just have to have that belief that things are gonna be okay no matter what happens.
You just mentioned, you go to Yale, you'll get a job, you'll be fine. That seemed to not be something that resonated with you in your mind of, if business doesn't go well, I'm gonna keep going, start another one, I'll figure it out. So, let's say, go back to our example. I want to create good videos. Videos are not going well. Videos are not, it's not working.
Yeah.
You're not going well, but you want to keep making good videos.
Yeah.
Like how does that, in your mindset, it seems like you would keep making good videos or keep trying to make good videos and not be like, you know what, I went to Yale, let me get a job.
Yeah, sorry. I'm saying we went to Yale, you can get a job. You're fine is shorthand for like, you're a smart guy who has a lot of talent, right? So you can do other things. Yes. Like if you don't not make these videos, you're not going to starve, Even if you starve, actually, it's okay. Like at the end of the day, like life is, I do think anything is okay in that, I'm into Buddhist philosophy, I guess. And like, you're just a consciousness living this life, experiencing all these things. And some of them are going to be really tough. Some of them are going to be really joyful. That's the human experience. And then you die. And no matter who you are, you die. Like, you might live until you're 90 and die healthily. You might get hit by a car or like have some tragic early end. Yeah. But that is the movie. That's like your life, Mason's life, and my life. I have a Justin movie, right? And I get to experience this movie, and it's beautiful in a bunch of ways. It's tragic in some ways. That's a human experience. And so there's nothing you can do about that, basically. Like you're going to have great experience, very beautiful experiences. You're going to have very difficult experiences. You were born, you had this arc, you grew up, then you're going to die.
Yes.
And that's like unavoidable. And so you just have to, like, a lot of people fight against that. They're like, I don't want to have any difficult experiences, or I don't want to die, or whatever. It's like, you don't have the choice. Yes. And so my point is like, the only real way to live, in my opinion, is to accept that that's going to happen. Right. And so you have to like just embrace these are things that are going to happen. And then what are you going to do with the time that you have here? And to me, it's like, okay, so you have a lot of ability and skills and you're a smart guy. You're going to be able to figure it out, how to live your best life here. And you're going to figure it out by like, okay, the videos aren't going well. Well, what else? You're going to keep trying until you run out of ideas. Once you run out of ideas, then something else will come up.
What's the next thing?
It'll be a next thing. It might not be videos. Yeah. It might not be a job. Maybe you'll start a company. Maybe you'll, do something else. Yeah. But I'm sure you're going to have a good shot at figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have anything? I was going to say something, but you good?
No, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So then, but what happens next? You mentioned you sell a company. You spend all this time on it. Is it kind of like a tough breakup where it's just like, in a way, you're happy because you sold the company, you're successful, but at the same time you put all of your life into it for such a long time. What's those next 6 months like? You sell Twitch, 6 months later, like where's Justin as a person and mentally?
Yeah, I think it's different for different people. For myself, like I am always someone who's looking forward. I'm not sentimental. So for me, I wasn't like, oh, I lost something. I was like, great, that's what's next. For me though, a lot of people would say, one thing I talk a lot about is like, I think there's a thing called the hedonic treadmill, right? Like, which is like, you get something and then that becomes your new normal, right? Like we're never satisfied. Human beings are never satisfied. We like, eat a great meal. We want another one, right? We like get some, you get bored of the things that you have. So when I started off, when we started back in Kiko days, I was like, if I get $1 million out of tech, that'd be crazy, right? I'm made. Then obviously made a lot more than that. And I was still unsatisfied. And I was looking at my friends who were like the founders of Dropbox and Airbnb and Coinbase and being like, oh shit, these guys did way better. Like, my company's worth $1 billion, their company's worth 10 billion, 20 billion, 50 billion, whatever it is. And so because I was somebody who was like looking for approval from the outside world, I was jealous. I had a lot of jealousy. Didn't have a lot of sympathetic joy, right? And I was like, oh, I need to do more. Let me start another company that's even bigger or whatever. And so that's why, I was very dissatisfied, even though I was like, most people would be like, well, that's crazy, right? Like you did this, like, how can you be dissatisfied? It's like, that's the human condition, right? Like you could just relate it back to your own lives. You'd probably be like, if I could play ball in college, that'd be crazy. Yeah. Then you're there and then there's someone else who's like way better or like, and you're like, oh shit. I'm like, and then you're like, I need to be better or whatever. And no matter who you are, whatever you do, right? Like there's always going to be someone better than you. And you can never, it's always easy to not be satisfied because that's like the human condition. Like the base human condition is to like not be satisfied with what we have or who we are.
Mm-hmm. So how do you get off the tread? Like how do you get off that cycle? How did you get off in your own mind?
Yeah, well, so I did a lot of ayahuasca actually, which really helped me because it made me realize, ayahuasca is a plant medicine and psychedelic, like, Aaron Rodgers is doing ayahuasca. So many people talk about doing ayahuasca now, but it really helped me understand myself. It's almost like a mirror into your life. So, I did ayahuasca and I realized the things I'm telling you about, like how I really needed approval of the outside world. Mm-hmm. And I realized two things downstream from that. I was like, one was I can love that part of myself because it helped me. It helped me go get to the place where I was able to even sit ayahuasca and learn these things about myself. But like I was able to get resources and become successful. And then number two is like I don't have to show up that way in the world if I don't want to anymore. And so I shifted from doing things to get something. Like I was like, oh, I'm going to start this company to get money or to be successful, to doing things because I love them. And the ironic thing is like people on the outside are like, oh, you're just doing the same shit. You're just still starting companies, investing in companies, whatever. But I'm like, oh, I'm doing it from instead of a place of like, oh, I'm starting this company so this can be at $10 billion. I'm just starting it because I think it's fun. I want to learn something. I'm like working on something. I enjoy working on something new. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy recruiting people for an idea. Yeah. And maybe it'll be successful, maybe not. I don't control all those variables, right? There's a lot of like outside variables that control whether your company is successful, like the market, timing, whether investors want to invest it, whether customers actually want to buy it, whether your hypothesis was right about that, Yeah. And so if I do that, like if I just started from a place of like more my own joy and curiosity and what I love to do, then it's fine. I'm like, whatever happens is fine. I'm not wasting my time, Right. Even if it fails, I didn't waste my time because I like doing this.
Yeah. Looking back with what you know now, would you still sell Twitch, or would you change your mind and you or how does that play?
Yeah, well, I can't be mad because it helped me go down this path where like when I was an entrepreneur in the early days of Twitch and then even post Twitch, I don't think I was very satisfied with life, and I don't think I was very extremely happy with like who I was as a person or how I showed up in the world. Now I think I'm like extremely satisfied with life and extremely happy with how I show up in the world and who I am and who I get to be. So like to me that's like priceless, right? That's worth no amount of money is a good substitute for like that feeling. Because like the marginal utility of having more money is like pretty low actually. I'm just gonna make bigger investments or
Yeah, and it's only so much you can do at a certain
Exactly.
point.
You can only live in one house. Yeah. You can only vacation on one yacht. No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, like after most people, like you don't need more after you have, like a couple $100,000 a year in America. I mean, America's expensive, so you need like you want to just remove the financial stress, right? When you're not stressed financially, after that, you're like pretty good,
Yeah.
And like the marginal value of like having more money in the bank is like not very high from how you feel every day, And so, but for me, the feeling like I show up as a great person and I have a great life is like, that's priceless. So while I could have made more money if we had like not sold Twitch, I don't regret it at all.
All right. Mm-hmm.
So the jump to Atrium is an interesting one just because, we got a chance to watch your videos and hear your interview. So I'm not necessarily going to ask about the story arc of Atrium, but more about Justin, the person, while being a part of Atrium and building Atrium. Like you keep talking about the person you were during the Twitch days versus the person you are now and that big jump. And it seems like from what you've shared, that was a nice that was a segue of when after that the change began to start happening. So during the HUM days, why were you so unsatisfied, and why did you want, I guess, to go into that venture? Like, this is what I'm gonna do with my life for those next.
Yeah, because I was like, I need to have a bigger company. Like, I'm looking at my friends who are like have giant companies. I'm like, I want to have a big company too. It was purely mimetic, I'm like, and so I thought that was an idea for how to have a big company. Turns out it was wrong for a bunch of reasons. But then I was like torturing myself every day about like, how do I make this company work that was failing? And that's when I kind of started to realize all these things.
Making a big company. That was like the only motivation.
Yeah, it was very mercenary. It wasn't like I care about legal tech. Legal is horrible. Yeah, it's a waste of life. Like the legal system, don't be in it. It's a waste of life.
Why?
Because it's a bunch of people. It's a zero-sum game. People are like, like everyone who enters, there's like, lawyers generally, it's like you're competing with other parties, whether they're like, it's a counterparty or a lawsuit or whatever. And like, if someone's winning, someone else is losing. And that creates a certain mindset that's like toxic. You want to be in positive sum games in industries that are growing, because then everybody's winning together. And that's like, people feel a lot better in that environment. That's the environment you want to be in. But once something's like very hyper competitive, it becomes toxic. Exactly. Like, and that's, yeah, you don't want to be in that environment. It's not a good place to live,
You want to go?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
My bad. We do this a lot when we talk. It seems like there's a lot of industries nowadays I feel like are toxic. What industries would you say that you spend time in now you would say are positive sum games where you're like, people are winning consistently together?
Yeah, well, I think anything that's high growth, right? So like tech was for a long time. Now AI is like that, right? Where there's lots of ideas, everything's growing, people are making money. So it's more collaborative in a lot of ways. At the high end, maybe with those foundational models, like the open AIs and metas of the world, they're like much more competitive. But in terms of these like maybe startups that implement AI or something, I think that's a growth area. I think there's others, but there's like an example of a zero-sum game industry that I've realized is like music, right? Like the music industry is hyper competitive because it's literally like people are listening to all the music that they can, right? Like you probably, however many hours of the day you listen to music, that's not growing, right? So if someone is playing your music, if you're playing someone's music, you're not playing someone else's. If someone's on a chart, everybody else isn't. And what I've noticed is the attitude of the people in the industry is much more like, what can I get? It's zero sum. They're like looking out for themselves. And that's like, it's not the vibe for me.
Yeah. Old Justin versus new Justin. You still invest. Old Justin invests. New Justin still invests. How do you invest differently with this new mindset you have?
Yeah. So instead of being like thinking about what am I think a lot of my investments before were like egoic of like, can I, not just is this going to make money? I mean, I want to make money, but also like, is this going to fulfill my needs to be richer, And now I think I'm like investing in things that I'm like, is this really, it's going to make money and be important, but also like, is it like good for the world, and can I like learn something and get, some more like fulfillment out of it? So one example, I know it's very nuanced, but like, I'm investing in private companies or whatever, right? So like, it's a little different than public market investing. But like for me, it's like before now, like I would probably have never invested in like later stage companies of that were already really successful because, I was probably not going to make enough. I wanted to like take these big swings on early stage companies that could be like whatever 100x or whatever, because like then I would like really feel like, oh, I like, did something there where it was like it would like really make a difference to my bottom line, like my total net worth or something. Now I think I'm much more willing to invest in like later stage companies run by friends of mine where like I'm not that big of a part of it. They have tons of investors. I'm like I don't need to, like, I'm not the main character in the story, because I think it's like less, for me, it's like I don't need to be the main character anymore. Yeah.
And what's your motivation to make money today versus where it was maybe 15 years ago?
It's more like academic of like, okay, like, am I a good investor? Am I like, are these but I don't. Yeah, it's not as much of a need to compare myself to other people. You know, before I wanted to make a lot of money because I was like, oh, I want to be like the richest or whatever. I'm never gonna be the richest, but like one of them, right? Now I'm like, okay, I just want to like know that I'm good at picking companies and supporting things that are like going to be financially successful, and that's it. It's pretty academic, you know.
Do you invest in your friends' companies? I know you talked about you have a friend who started Reddit, I think at Yale, and then Coinbase. You talked about, I don't know how many people you know that are in that circle, but do you invest in their companies? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them I didn't invest in Coinbase, which is stupid, and I did invest in Reddit. But years later, it was in a Yale, but we knew him through Y Combinator. Yeah, so I invest in friends. I mean, it's kind of like I'll always invest in a friend, but it just depends on the amount. It depends on like whether I think there's a good business or not.
Right.
If I invest like, I don't know, 25K or 50K in your business, it's just because we're friends.
Yeah, that's solely like,
yeah,
you know.
that's like let's, you know, I just want to support you. You know.
What was your favorite business or company that you've invested in?
My favorite one, I don't know. I just have so many. I have like lots of companies that are, they're all like different in different ways or whatever. I like, but right now I guess there's some that are in my mind as like really important companies. Two recently that I kind of wrote pretty big checks in. I invested in this company called Zipline, which is a drone delivery company. And the founder of it, Keller, is just like a really amazing friend. But he's like, this guy will not lose. This guy was like, he is somebody who's like just a force of nature, you know. So you want to back those kind of people. And I also invested in this company called Science, which is a company by the original co-founder of one of the co-founders of Neuralink. And it's a brain-computer interface company that's really building amazing technology, you know, that I think could really change the world. So,
and is Neuralink the
Neuralink is the Elon BCI company, but Max started this new company called Science. It's a BCI company that's I think it's pretty awesome.
I want to talk a little bit about finances. A lot of college students are very caught up in how much they're going to make coming out of college or how much they're making currently. When you were in college, what was your net worth like? Were you making income? Did you have like internships in the summertime, or were you solely making money off of startups? Or
no, startups didn't make any money for first, right? Like I had internships. I don't know. I probably had a couple $1,000s in the bank, you know, like not that much. And after college, I mean, the advantage I had was like my parents paid for my college, right? So I didn't have to come out with student loans.
Right.
It's like really, you know, that's a huge blessing, right? So that probably helped me be able to like make no money as a startup founder, right?
Right.
But I didn't like really optimize for money in that. It was more just like because I was able to like raise a little bit of money to live, you know, and we didn't know like maybe our company would be worth something, maybe not, but we weren't like really thinking about like, oh, it's got to be worth X or paying us Y by this time or anything like that. You know, you don't control that. So, it was like more, it was, you know, I never thought about money. I wasn't like trying to get a certain amount or create certain cash flow or anything like that. It was like when we sold Kiko, I took a lot of that money and put it back into our new business, that Justin TV, which is like probably dumb, but I was like loaning our company money because we needed it to like scale this business or whatever. So yeah, I was like, for me, it's always just been more of a resource. And I always tell people like, I wouldn't optimize for money in your 20s. I would optimize to learn the most, like put yourself in the positions where you think you're going to learn the most. And then like you're gonna make more money. You're gonna make money in your 30s, you know, and onwards. I mean, I definitely think making money is good to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not like saying that's
a good take.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think as a guy, especially when my partners has this say, he's like, your job is to not be broke by the time you're 40. Definitely. I mean, you know, like I think for me, for example, I get a lot of joy and fulfillment out of like having a provider role in my family.
Right.
You know? That's like the example I've learned from my dad. So like being able to provide a good lifestyle for my family and is like really important to me in my identity. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to like downplay and be like, oh, you don't care about money at all. I think money and the economics of like whatever job, making videos, whether you're making videos or you're making a startup or whatever, it's like, it's a sign of like, do people care in this society? Is it valued, right? Is what you're doing valued in some way? And there's so many paths. Like there are people, you can do it through art, right? You can make money by being an artist. You can make money by making music. There's like tons of, it's not to say you don't do something creative, but like thinking about things through some commercial lens, I do think is like a good check from like a reality check of like, does society care about this and is it like valuable?
All right. At what age did you make your first million?
When I was 28, I want to say, when we spun out a company called Social Cam out of Justin TV, and then that got sold in 2012 or 13, 12, I think it was 2012. So I think it was like 28.
2028. And you said that was.
I think I was 28.
That was a company called Social
Cam, yeah.
Social Cam, and then tell me about that. I don't know anything about.
So yeah, it was like kind of like TikTok before TikTok came out, except like not algorithmic and not that good. But we ended up spinning it out of Justin TV. When we were pivoting into Twitch, this was our other idea. We ended up like almost like incubating it, spinning it out, and Autodesk acquired in 2020.
And turning it into Justin TV.
What?
And then you turned it. It's a part of Justin TV.
It was a part of Justin TV that we like turned into an app, and then we spun it out as a new company. Sold it.
So Social Cam makes a lot of sense to me name wise, but Kiko and Twitch don't. Who are you on a board? You write down names. What should we name this company? Like Kiko. How does that come about?
Well, it was just like that domain was for sale.
Oh.
We bought it as Yale students. It was $250.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's 4-letter domain, $250. You got to buy it. So that's the name of the company now.
Yeah.
For Twitch, like my co-founder, Emmett, came up with the idea. He just liked that name, that word. He thought it, I think it's perfect.
Twitch.
It
It is.
Yeah.
It just sounds right now. Like thinking back on it, just
No, it
makes
is.
sense.
Yeah.
It is. Mentally, you've talked in the past about how you used to be an escapist. And I was interested in that just because I've never necessarily heard, obviously you know the word escapist, but like having somebody describe themselves as that. What does that mean?
I mean, I guess you're talking about, I don't remember using the word specifically, but I think I definitely dissociated from my difficult experiences, right? So like when I was like, difficult emotional experiences, like feeling anxiety about something or guilty about something or feeling whatever, upset in some way, I wasn't very good at like being with that experience. I was like, instead of just sitting with, like if I was feeling guilty about a company not working and feeling like I was letting everybody down, I would, instead of just feeling guilty and being okay with feeling guilty, I'd like immediately try to shut that experience down, right? That feeling. So, I had like lots of different strategies for doing that. One is like drinking heavily, which is something I, like started doing in college, and then just like was really a big part of my life for a long time. And then another was just, if I wasn't doing that, it might be like, oh, I'm going to binge watch TV or something, right? Which is like a way to escape into like some, media narrative, right? So yeah, I was just like for a long time wasn't very comfortable with my difficult present moment experiences, but now I am. Luckily, I think it's a good skill to build to be able to sit with your experience. It's kind of like what I was saying before, like your human experience is going to contain difficulty. It's going to contain difficult emotions, right? Things are going to happen outside your control or inside your control. You're going to make mistakes. And if you can be present with those experiences, the body is like very good at processing emotions, actually. Like processing emotions, like emotions are like a signal in the body that like you should pay attention to something, right? Like, so if anger is a signal, like something's going wrong and I need to change something. And you might not know why, but like your body and your brain are telling you that, right? And so you can either like stuff it down, but that never works, right? It's going to bubble up at some point. Yes. Or you can process it and be like, oh, wow, I am angry. Maybe I'm going to do something or whatever, be with that experience, and then eventually it's going to dissipate. And you're much better off if you listen to it, in my experience.
Yeah. One thing you have not talked about a lot, just in general, is necessarily how relationships have formed throughout your time working, and how you think.
That's a good question.
How you see relationships as a detrimental thing or a good thing throughout your life.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for relationships. That's a great question. I'm very much a relationships person. I'm the type of person who all of the things that people see that I've done, I've only done through other people. Like, I'm actually not that good at most things myself. Like, I'm pretty smart, I'm pretty eloquent, like, well, I can like formulate ideas pretty well. But I'm really great as a storyteller, and my really, skill that I'm probably like best at, like top in the world at, is like, I'm a great storyteller, and I'm really great at convincing people that they should rally around some cause, whether it's a startup or like building an art project or whatever, I'm really top at that, and so like, I've always been good at convincing people to like build something together. And I really am grateful for the relationships in my life with all the co-founders. I've probably had 20 plus co-founders over the years, or like all the early employees, like hundreds of early employees, and like all the people who have been friends of mine who have supported me in some way, or been like artistic collaborators. All those people have carried my dreams on their backs, and like, or dreamed with me. And I wouldn't be here and be me if it wasn't for all these people who have been in my life. So I'm incredibly grateful for it. I think, they say, if you want to move fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, some shit like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. But like, I really believe that. Like, I'll only build a company with other people, with co-founders. I will never build it myself, because I know I'm like not that good by myself. I'm much better with other people.
Speaking of relationships, I know I talked to Mason about this before. We talked about, is it possible to truly reach your full potential while being in a relationship, or while seeing someone? And I'd wonder I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, or what your opinion is.
I think my question would be, is it possible to reach your full potential without being in a relationship?
Wow.
Because I think human beings are, design. Obviously, there's like a bell curve of people, and like some people are outliers, but generally people are happiest when they're pair bonded with in a stable relationship.
Right.
And because I think that we're designed humans are social animals, and designed to live in different like levels of community and different levels of relationships. And I think that, having, I've been dating somebody since Yale.
Yeah.
The same way. I mean, not dating, now we're married, we have 3 kids, right? Like
Since your Yale times.
Yeah. And we met at Yale. And that's my day one, and like, we've grown so much together, where I wouldn't be the person I am without her influence. And we have very different personalities. I'm really extroverted. I'm like an ideas guy out there in the world. She's much more grounded, stable, like creating like a really stable home environment. And I don't think I would have ever reached my full potential as a human being without being in partnership with her.
Did she help you with any of these startups, or did she help?
I mean, like, not really. I don't think, not really. It's more like helping me be a stable person, which allows me to provide that groundedness and stability for the people around me.
When you were in college, I said when you were at Yale, because I mean, in my opinion now, just love life at Yale in general is hard to find, in my opinion. Right? When you were there back in your time, did you feel like everybody was very open, or very just open to meet new people, or just connections were?
I don't know what it's like now, so it's like hard to, when I read about what Gen Z's dating, sounds crazy, bro. Sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. Like, it sounds like all of these people are just sitting on Fortnite all day, and they can't even crush, because they can't fucking string 2 words together to say what's up. Like, I mean, at Yale when I was there, it was like, you just go get drunk at a frat party or whatever, or like one of these parties at like a college, and then there's people around. Hello, like, it's just like,
and it just conversation started instantly.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what it's like for you guys now out there.
No, you hit it pretty close. You hit it pretty close with the Fortnite. Yeah.
What's your take on your question? You asked the question about relationship, and this spurred from freshman year. This was a thing we debated about heavily. Our team would talk about every day, and I was one of the catalysts behind. You can't be in a relationship, be successful, and here I am 3 years later. And I'm like, well, I would think I was wrong, but what do you think?
I think that I'm kind of adjusting. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that, like, I look at myself, I'm like, all right, Cal, would you rather be in a relationship, or would you rather be out of one, right? Or would you work harder in a relationship, or would you work harder out of one? I think when you're in a relationship, you have something or someone that you want to provide for. So now you have like, there's more of a why to what you're doing, you know, like, and especially in the sense of having a family. Now there's more whys as to what you're doing. You know, when you're by yourself, you're only doing it for yourself. You can only get so far doing something for yourself, whereas you're doing it for the people around you.
I think, there's lots of different motivations that work in the world, so there's, I think there is a very powerful motivation for young men to like go make something and be successful so that they can crush. Because otherwise, like it's like if you don't go out there and figure out how to like make something of yourself, you might never be able to have a relationship or whatever. And that motivator is like strong. It's like that motivator in the like whatever 1600s got people to go on ships and sail across the world for like without seeing a woman for 3 years or 5 years. They might never come back to get some fucking spices from Indonesia so that they could get laid in America, back in Britain or whatever. Like, I mean, that's a very powerful motivator. But I think you can never, I think you cannot have a fully actualized human life without, in my opinion, this might be controversial. There's all these like anti-natalist Gen Zs now who are like don't have kids or whatever, right? Or like millennials too. But I think that's like, you can never have a full range of human experience without having a family and without raising kids, because that's so embedded in humans and us as evolved animals that's like a biological purpose. And of course, I'll caveat that with there's like different brains and some people are like just not wired for it. They're not, maybe they don't want to, I'm not telling them that those people should have kids, but like, I think it's it is core for like the vast majority of human beings.
Because you're missing out on so many experiences. Like, I feel like if you don't have that family around you, or if you don't, at least try to see what it's like.
It's such a like core experience. Yeah. And I've done I've been blessed. I've had so many experiences, like the craziest experiences, I've lived them or whatever, like the most awesomest parties or whatever. And like selling your company and, whatever, right? Like a lot of cool stuff. But there's nothing like having kids, like and build, raising a family. Like there's nothing that that's like, to me, that's like the most important experience I'll ever have in my life.
Yeah. Were you in a frat at Yale or
no? I wasn't cool enough. I was in God. I went to God Quad. I was in God Quad. Yeah.
What's God Quad? Huh? What's God Quad?
You asking the wrong person.
Shit!
Yeah,
you know what?
God Quad?
God Quad was our party. You don't have the party suite at Brantford?
Probably do.
Party suite at Brantford?
I'm not.
Yeah.
We gotta see if this is still a thing.
Shit. Well, there's one at Morse, right? Or like.
Oh, there is. Oh, yeah. Actually, there is. But I'm not gonna lie.
Gen Zs aren't partying at all, bro. That's crazy.
They party. I would say we're in that weird space of like.
Damn.
I think I would consider myself somewhat acclimated with the Yale community, but at the same time, I'm not fully tapped in.
He doesn't really go out. Is what he's trying to say. Translation.
Yeah.
You're just sitting on your computer playing Fortnite.
I'm that guy.
It's that guy.
Well, I think you just convinced Kelvin to have some kids. What do you think?
I was never against it.
I mean, you don't have to do it right now. You got a long time. I didn't have kids till I was 35 years old. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that party life is very active at Yale now. It's definitely changed, but.
I want to see. You guys got to take a video of a Yale party, and then send me a video of this. I want to see what's like. What's it like? What's going on?
It's lively.
We'll do that.
We still have like our traditions. Spring fling. Did you guys do spring fling? Yeah. So we had spring fling. What was it? Yale Harvard game or whatever.
Yeah.
The tail.
So do people not just get fully blackout at like Yale Harvard?
They do.
Okay.
Oh, no,
they do.
Right.
But for us, we never get to experience because we're playing.
Yeah, that's
so it's like
true.
I hear the stories afterwards where people say, "I was at your game." I'm like, "Do you remember anything?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, great."
The majority of people who come to the game don't watch a second of the game. They don't.
Yeah, I never went in.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
I never went in. Dude, we lost every year. There's no point in going in. It was like we lost like every year I was there.
You were there during the bad time of Yale football.
Yeah.
We were really bad when 2005-ish.
Awful.
Yeah.
We've won 3 years in a row now. So
Right,
maybe
right.
it's a good game to see now.
Yeah. Gotta come back and catch up.
I don't know. Complete pivot, but what makes a good storyteller?
I think you just gotta it's really about connecting. Well, I mean, I guess there's tactical and there's high level. I guess at the high level, I think it's really about connecting with what an audience wants to hear. So really a bit like understanding your audience. I think that's really important. Storytelling is a really important skill set, right? Because like if you can convince other people to do things or engage other people, it's like super powerful, across not just, creative arts and stuff. You have amazing master storytellers like Dave Chappelle, but like all the way to like people in business or whatever, like a lot of communicating ideas is storytelling. So I think there's like, you need to connect the dots for people and really understand what kind of stories people are interested, your audience is interested in. And then tactically, I think there's a couple things, like just really being in the details, like weaving details in for people, like making it real for them is really important. There's like, I think all stories have 3 acts, right? Like there's the way the world's a certain way, something changes, the world's a new way. So generally you want to like kind of explain, tell stories in that format. That's like, and I don't know, there's this YouTube channel that I like called Charisma on Command.
Okay, I've not heard of that. Gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's like this guy breaks down like celebrities and like the charismatic things that they do, like the behaviors. If you kind of like watch this videos, I started watching them and I was like, oh, I just do all these things. Like I learned them myself over the years. But I think it's really interesting and kind of valuable for like people who are trying to like, become better with people in like live situations,
Are you a natural storyteller, or do you think you learned through? Like,
I think I learned through like entrepreneurship and stuff. I'm an extrovert, but I was very shy actually when I was, in high school anyway, or like, well, maybe not high school, but when I was younger, right? And then I kind of through high school and college became, got more exposure to like being more comfortable around people. And then from the job, why I say optimize for learning was like with startups. When I start, I might not have made money. I end up making money, which is great. But like my skills like went up tremendously because I was in these positions where I was like, okay, I have to convince someone to join this company, right? So I'm like gonna be pitching them and telling, I have to hire some people. So I'm like, I'm practicing storytelling because I'm telling like 15 candidates one after another why they should join this company. That's a form of storytelling, right? So, I think I just like, you want to optimize for learning, and that's helped. Like being a founder of a company has been a great blessing in my life, not just because I've made money from it. That's actually almost like less important. It's because I've like gone from somebody who was like, like a not very skilled, not very confident kid to someone who's like pretty good at certain things. And like, I'm pretty confident, I'm like, I walk around thinking like, well, I'm pretty great. Like I'm pretty great at these things, and I'm like I'm pretty confident most of the time, and like that is because of the opportunities to learn and to manage and to build that I got from being a founder.
Justin, today, what are the things you're most passionate about? You DJ, you're involved in different things that you're creating content. What are you most passionate about right now in this moment?
Yeah, I just all the same things, like I love music, I love DJing. That's more of a hobby though. I don't think I would I can't really be a full-time DJ. I've got young kids, so I think I'd probably get bored. But I love DJing. I love art. I love Burning Man. So we make a lot of Burning Man art. I have this art car called Titanic.
You built that,
yeah?
Right? You learned how to weld.
Well, I didn't weld Titanic's. I welded the first version, yeah. Yes. But then we have a new, much better version that like friends of mine and I all worked on, but they did the welding.
How'd you learn to teach yourself how to weld? You just watch YouTube?
I took a class at this, I forgot what it's called, but it's like an art space in Oakland where they have welding classes and different classes. So.
It's like a 1-year class?
No, this was like a 6-week class.
6-week class.
This is like I was like I think 4 to 6 times or whatever. And then,
it goes back. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just an interesting thing of like what you're sharing throughout like everything is you're learning so fast, and just doing different things. And I think you're downplaying it a bit, to be honest with you, in a sense where it's like how it just seems uncommon in a way where it's like you're just learning these things and doing law services, AI, like completely different categories, and you're succeeding. So it seemed like there's like a common theme that doesn't matter what you're doing, you're still successful. And I'm trying to pinpoint that one thing.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. One is like partnering with other people who are good. So like always teaming up with people who all do have more experience than me, right? So that's one area.
Yeah.
I think the times I've been most successful is because I've partnered with really great people. The times I've been less successful is because I've had the wrong partners for me, you know? And so I think that's a big part of it, you know? And then I think it's just having that attitude of like, I don't have to come in as an expert, but I'm going to come in and learn. And, you know, it's like one of my partners when I was at YC always said, he was like, it's not about your y-intercept, it's about the slope of your curve, right? It's not about where you start, it's about how fast you're growing, you know?
Crazy bar.
That's a bar. It is a bar. Quadratic formula.
So
I used to do my homework.
exactly. So yeah, I think that was right, because you know it's not about it's about how you learn, you know, and setting yourself up for learning. Yeah.
So welding and art cars is all about learning.
Yeah, exactly. Designing anything is about learning. It's like it's about learning from people who've done it before. It's about experimentation and thinking about what the, you know, how, you know, like I mean, you can do anything if you just break it down into enough steps and you're like, okay, how do I even start doing this or whatever, you know, and how do I like get people involved who are experts in their area?
Do you plan to retire at any point in your life?
I don't think so. I mean, I do what I love, you know, I get the advantage of like, I'm doing things that I love to do. And so what would I do if I wasn't? I would just, you know, people retire to try to do things they love, right? I've been blessed because like I get to do things I love that are like, you know, that are things I like, actually, like that's my job, is like the things I love to do, you know?
So where do you see the next? I mean, you're older, you're still young. I mean, you're super young.
I'm still young.
And it's like
exactly.
You're super young.
Still very young. I'm still very, very young.
And it's interesting in a way where it's like you've seen some of the coolest things there are to see, but you're 40, 42. Yeah. So where do you see the next 20, 30 years bringing you and doing?
I'm just excited. I'm really excited. I feel like the future's coming fast. You know, we got AI, brain-computer interfaces, like self-driving cars. You know, it's like the future is accelerating, I feel, anyways, and it's coming fast. And I know other people, like contemporaries, people my age, are like scared in some ways of like, oh, AI, you know, singularity or like whatever, what if it's bad AI or whatever. I'm like, oh, fuck it, we're going to see what happens, bro. This is like human life is an experiment, right? Like the human, you know, if you look at the growth, you know, the curve of humanity, like just even numbers of humans, it's like exponential, right? Like our technology is exponential, like how much computing processing power there is exponential. Like all these curves are exponential. And what's interesting to me is just like maybe we're at this like inflection point where we've like transitioned to this, you know, multiplanetary civilization with AI and all these like really amazing benefit, you know, the Star Trek world, right?
Yeah.
Like that is possible. You know, I don't know. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So I'm excited just to see what happens in the next 20 and 30 years. And I'm excited to, in the ways that I can, play whatever role in like that world, you know.
And is that going to be more as an investor or as a builder?
It's probably a combination of like some parts building, some parts coaching. You know, I coach a lot of friends of mine who are doing bigger things, or maybe like having bigger companies or whatever. Or maybe it's some part investing in things that I think are really important. Yeah.
I have a few more things before wrapping up, but the content creation piece is interesting now because I think the one unique thing about you is not a lot of people who've seen the success you have are active in their own right on social media and being honest and telling honest truths.
Yeah.
So why do you feel so open to share and just you know, I see the comments in your videos. They're like, you know, it's unreal that somebody this successful is just this honest and just blunt about their own hardships and their own successes. What got you to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I like to share. I'm a very authentic and open person, right? We just met. I'm pretty like honest about my experience. I think I that's just my. Like it's not like that's for content. It's like that's just how I operate with people in the world. And I also like, I think because I don't second guess myself, or I also just don't give a fuck a lot of times. So like for me, it's like, oh, I can say I failed. Someone could, you know, am I as good of an entrepreneur as like whatever my other friend who didn't fail? Probably not, actually. But like because I don't need the validation from the outside world. I'm like, okay, I'll be honest. And I also know I'm like, have had a set of exceptional experiences or whatever. So for me, it's like I like to share make content like videos on YouTube about the experience, the good and bad of the entrepreneurial experience, and the things I've learned in life. Because I get feedback from people who are like, "Oh, that video really helped me," or "I quit drinking because you talked about your hardships drinking and then now quitting," right? And so I find that very rewarding, to know like, oh, maybe I had an impact in somebody out there. It's like very rewarding. And I don't really. My problem is I like ran out of things to say because I basically said everything I have to say. And so like I don't want to just keep making videos that are like, oh, the second video on how I sold Twitch or whatever. It's like, or the second video on like why I quit drinking. It's like I ran out of videos. The last video was like how to give a wedding toast.
I saw that
because I love giving wedding toasts. And then a friend was asking me for advice on like how do I give it, and I was like, fuck, I should just make a video on this because like there's no. Because I really care. There's so many weddings where people do bad toasts, and I'm like, this is a formula, bro. If you want this to be, fire, it's pretty. Yeah, exactly. It's like not that complicated. You guys start with like, introduce whichever party bride or groom, right? Who are they? Okay, enter this other person. Like the who are they? Now who are they together? Sentimental. I'll make it some sentimental wishes and. That's it. Add some humor in there. Start with a joke. That's it. Don't make it complicated. No inside jokes. Fuck.
Yeah. And where do people go wrong with that?
They make it long, super long, all inside jokes that nobody understands.
Inside jokes.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
You have a big audience. It's all the people. They not just your college friends or whatever. So like, if you just talk about inside jokes, that's not going to connect with everybody. Yeah, you could do one maybe or something. So you're like, oh yeah, But
just, okay, got to keep it. Okay.
How many wedding toasts have you given to get to that point?
A lot. I've given a lot. I don't know. Maybe like a dozen.
Wow,
maybe.
That's a lot. Have you ever been to one?
I've never been to a wedding. I missed my uncle's wedding for football, which is sad.
That's sad.
It's very sad. My parents are upset with me about it. So.
Well, you'll have many in your life. I mean, I didn't. By the time when I was your age, I don't think I've been to any. Anyways.
Yeah, my brother's going to tens of 20s right now. He's going to just a bunch of weddings.
Oh yeah, it's about that time.
He's like 27.
Yeah, that's the time when everyone's
getting married.
Wedding, and then 10 years later, round of second weddings.
Yeah. Go ahead. I have like one more question, then I'll let you.
No, mine's not a question. It's more just like a statement. I've been growing my hair out for a few years now, so I just want to talk about hair for a second.
Oh yeah, this is my proudest accomplishment.
Yeah. So I know this took me about four years, I'd say. How long have you been growing yours out for?
Well, I've had it long since 2019 is when I started growing it out. So it's been 6 years since I started, but like I've been getting haircuts.
Yeah. Oh, you keep it trim. You trim it down still.
I get a haircut.
How fast does it grow for you?
Not very fast. I mean, I don't know. I think it's like that maxed out hair length, basically.
Is there a reason you started growing it out, or you just like it long now? Is that just?
I always wanted to grow it out, but then I could never get past the awkward 6 months phase.
Yeah, where it's like kind of long and it's not.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. But then at a certain point, I was just like, whatever, I got to do it. Otherwise, I'm losing my hair too fast. Otherwise, I'll never have a chance when I'm older.
Yeah, my dad's bald, so
Yeah, you were like, you got to get it while you can, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be bald soon. I need to grow. I should grow my hair out.
You look pretty good.
I got these light spots coming in.
Yeah, you're fucked.
I know. I should start.
You're fucked.
But what do you like? I'm looking around. It's like, what do you nowadays? What do you do in a day? Like, is it every day different?
Sit here, or someone comes up. Do we do a podcast? No, I mean mostly my days like I'm on meeting. I do Zoom meetings from up here. I'll be down in the city and meeting with people, and then I try to work out. I work out a lot, so I try to work out.
What do? You run?
I have this thing called Catalyst, which is crazy. It's just like it's like a suit that stimulates your muscles and like forces them to clench and unclench.
I saw that actually.
No, you gotta check this out. This is crazy. This is crazy. I had
a feeling he was gonna say some kind of crazy workout. That's why I had to ask him. Like, I know you're not going. Like, what type of workout is he doing? That's different.
You have to remember, I'm a 42-year-old man, right? So this is before I started doing Catalyst, right? This is before I started doing Catalyst. I'm like, all right, but like, check this out. This is now.
Whoa!
Right, that's now.
Damn.
I could be on the Yale football team.
Yes, you can. You'll be started.
No, but no, seriously, I'm like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So do you like have a diet you track too with it, or do you just?
I fast one day a week. I fast for 36 hours.
36 hours.
Yeah. So from like the night to the not one full day, and then the morning after.
And how much benefit have you seen from that?
I don't know. It's like I just feel better, and I keep trim. I think it's good for your longevity, and your body goes into autophagy, and so your cells start to clean up the dead, like the material in them. Yeah, I think it's good. I think fasting has a lot of good benefits. It's also like helps you regulate your insulin resistance, and like my mom has adult onset diabetes, so like I'm just kind of, it's top of mind for me.
Right.
Yeah.
After I get past 12 hours, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, mentally,
like
I'm kind of just like
doing sports and stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. Once you say if you do it enough, you'll like train yourself. You know?
Yeah. What day of the week do you?
It changes, but it's usually Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I do try to do it whenever I'm busiest, because when I'm mentally busy,
it's easier. It's easier to not think about it.
I don't think about it.
The last question I have is more about you've done hundreds of interviews, and you're always. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about some of these personal things at the end. What are some things maybe that you don't typically get a chance to talk about that you're passionate or excited about that I guess no one asked you?
I think your question about relationships is a really good one. I really do value relationships a lot, and I think that's like kind of that's one I liked. I don't know. People ask me. I talk about a lot. They're like pretty open. So like I don't know if there's things that I haven't really covered. I
didn't know about that you were with somebody since Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah. We broke up a couple of times, but yeah, but we always got back together. Yeah. It's
It's cool.
That's a good vibe. No, yeah.
I'm good.
You have any more questions?
All right.
But no, this is great. And we really appreciate you. I'll wrap up. While you're doing that, to say this is episode whatever of Off the Leash podcast.
Yeah.
We'll know
There we
where
go.
this is lying out. Episode blank of Off the Leash podcast. We'll throw a number on the screen right now.
Yeah.
Subscribe, and that's all I got.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe. Smash that like button, baby. Smash that like button.
You know what to do, man.
You know what to do. You got to get this guy fed. Yeah. He wants to do this. He wants to do this as his job. Fucking smash that like, bro. Please.